How's it going, guys? Welcome to another edition of LaLiga Insiders. Gemma, Rodrigo, Faez, and I am Cristina Alexander. A lot to touch on what happened this weekend. A lot of goals, too, with Real Madrid and with Barcelona. But let's check out our menu before we get things going with that victory. The question is Xavi's Barcelona a serious thing? Benzema to the rescue again with Real Madrid. And what's going on with our insiders? Of course, we'll have that information, and we can't forget our lovely and our always entertaining extra time. But let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with what happened now with Barcelona. And it's that question, Gemma. Yeah, a lot of goals. It seems nice. Robert Lewandowski responding under that pressure or expectation of him now as a Blaugrana. But the question is it a serious thing? Can fans get excited about what we're seeing from Barcelona?
Hola, Cristina. Yes, I definitely think they can get excited. They have to. They come from a few years with a lot of disappointment. So it looks like this Barcelona has a squad that they can at least compete, which is something they haven't been able to do on the past few years. I think there are arguments that they can believe, and actually the fan base is responding to that, because yesterday we were at the Camp Nou, and again there was more than 80,000 spectators, and this is something we have seen in the opening game, also in the charity game we had midweek. So the fan base are excited, and the arguments we were talking about, of course, one of them, it has to be Robert Lewandowski, Ansu Fati, Gavi, Pedri, Koundé as well. He was doing his debut yesterday, and he did great. And of course they have a coach, Xavi, which is a leader that I think it's something that they were missing on the last years. It was such a disappointment, that opening game, that 0-0 draw against Rayo Vallecano, and somehow the expectation, the excitement went a little bit down. Now there is no euphoria. Barcelona will be playing such a marathon now, 6 games in 20 days, including a trip to the Sanchez Pizjuan, including a trip to the Allianz Arena, where they have seen so many goals during so many times. So after that, we can be talking about euphoria. Now there is excitement. I think it's good.
Yeah, and excitement and expectation is sure to see Robert Lewandowski now on this side with Barcelona against Bayern Munich. Of course, some of his teammates already sending him that message and that expectation as well. Rodrigo, a lot of things now. It's interesting what Gemma said, right? Comparing this to what the home opener was, maybe some of that excitement fizzled a little bit. But what did Xavi have to do to get their team back to what is now this excitement at the moment?
Well, they deserve, Barcelona fan base deserve what they are living through now, because, Gemma mentioned the spectators that you've seen in Rayo Vallecano and in the game against Valladolid, and you can see more than 80,000 people. I think one of the guys to blame is Xavi, because he changed the face of Football Club Barcelona in less than 2-3 months. I think that all the people inside the club, they made an effort to change this mind and to change people's mind, which is something incredible. And well, last year, or maybe the past 3 years, was disillusion, and it was maybe a disgrace. Now has become illusion. That's why all the people and all the fans are smiling, and I think they are, confident about Robert Lewandowski, about Dembele, about Pedri, what he did in the game against Valladolid. And mostly, I want to focus on Lewandowski and the way he changed Barcelona up front line. I think he's the best signing for Barcelona in years, and I think it doesn't really matter if he's 34 years old or he's older or he's younger, that he's going to be the main striker and the top scorer for Barca this year, and even for La Liga.
And that's great news for Joan Laporta. That's great news for Barcelona, that this signing of Robert Lewandowski, I want to talk about him too, that it's not just a signing that looks pretty on paper. He's actually responding now with 4 goals, tied with Borja Iglesias, who also had a spectacular goal this weekend. Of course, no surprise to see Karim Benzema there. And of course, Vinicius Jr., Iago Aspas responding, of course, as we see him regularly with Celta. But my question is, Gemma, Robert Lewandowski, we know the season just started. He's responded so well. Do you see him staying top of this list and potentially being the Pichichi this season?
Yes, I definitely can. Of course, there are other factors like injuries, like bad luck, and other kind of things. But I definitely see that because it's been only 3 games, it's been only a few trainings, and you can see that he adapted so well. And yesterday, what I love about being pitch side and especially behind the goal is that you get to see a lot of information that maybe on the screen you can, or in the press box you cannot have it. So yesterday, most of the game I watched and tried to listen to Robert Lewandowski, and what really surprised me is that he scores that first goal in front of his new fans. Of course, he celebrated a little bit, but he straight went to Rafinha to try to correct the assist, what he wanted from Rafinha in the side. After the second goal, Pedri's goal, he does the same, celebrates a bit, and goes to Gavi and starts talking to Gavi, correcting a few movements of Gavi. And then when I had the chance to interview Xavi, I asked about that, and he said yes, he's really a competitive animal. He's super humble. He's very generous. He likes to talk a lot with the youngsters. So with all that factors and something that is terrific, one of the best strikers in the world, everything is done, I think, for him to succeed in Barcelona. Then many things can happen, but definitely he's got everything he needs to succeed.
He has
at the
everything, and I love what you said about the fact that he went straight away to Rafinha to say, hey, let's do this a little bit better next time, because Rodri, it looks like he's sharing the wealth, right, which is just so valuable to have in any sort of player, and of course with such an experienced player like Robert Lewandowski. Do you agree with Gemma that, injuries aside, maybe some bad luck aside, he is on pace, and if this just started, he is on pace to be the Pichichi, the Golden Boot?
Yeah, sure, and he will be the teacher of the youngsters at Barca. I mean, when you look at the lineup yesterday, and you see guys like, for example, Gavi, you got Pedri. I mean, both, for example, are 18 years old, which is something mad. And imagine that you have up front Lewandowski, who has been, he has won everything at the European football, and now he's gonna score for the game you play, and then right after scoring, he's going back to you and he's gonna correct your position or your assists. I think he's gonna be the top scorer for sure, because sometimes in Madrid we compare him with Benzema, and we know that both are different, because for example Benzema, I see him like a top scorer as he proved last season or even 2 years ago, but I think Lewandowski is more a number 9 striker. So that's why for me, if you compare Real Madrid and Barcelona occasions and chances that they've got every game, I think that proves that Lewandowski is going to have even more chances than Benzema, because Benzema, he has chances, but he has to create those chances again. So that's something that Lewandowski doesn't have that needed to make, because he has Pedri, he has Xavi or Gavi, sorry, he has Dembele, and he has Rafinha, whoever, and I think he's more a box area striker. So that's why I think he's going to be the top scorer for La Liga for sure by the end of this season.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you guys, and of course we'll talk about that when the season is kind of wrapping up, because I feel like that race is going to be so interesting with someone like Karim Benzema. Speaking of someone like Karim Benzema, Real Madrid, I know you guys both said that you're convinced by what Barcelona did and that fans can get excited about it. Rodri, I'll stay with you to ask you now about Real Madrid. At one point tied 1-1 against Espanyol. They came back and still got the job done, those 3 points. But are you truly convinced by what Carlo Ancelotti's team is doing?
Well, I insist that Real Madrid is the main contender to win the league at the end of the season, because they still have the same block that they had last season, and they reinforced the team in positions that they needed, and in positions that last season they didn't have any kind of replacement. Like, for example, they didn't have Tchouameni, that he's young and he's present more than future, that he will be future, but now he's present, and he's someone that yesterday he proved that he's gonna stay at Real Madrid as a starter forever. And then they signed Rudiger, who proved again that he's gonna release in some games. For example, David Alaba, who played last night, for example, as a left back. So that's why, for me, Real Madrid, they still have the same blood. They still have the same people, the same key players, and we have to say that they struggle by the end of the game to get the win against a really strong side as Espanyol. But by the end, Ancelotti said in the press conference that, okay, we signed this. I mean, and we got the win because we had more physical players. That they ended the game better than Espanyol players. That's why they signed Camavinga, who I think, for me, he changed the game with Rodrigo Goes, and they signed Tchouameni, who proved yesterday that Casemiro is going to be over for sure, and we're not going to remind Casemiro for this season.
Yeah, it's very different to lose someone like Cristiano and how that's been really complicated for Real Madrid. Now someone like Casemiro leaves, and it looks like Tchouameni is really stepping up to the plate and responding. You were talking a lot about what Carlo Ancelotti said. Let's take a look at what he said after the game. We started very well. We scored, then we slowed down. After they tied it, it was more complicated. It ended in a two-way match, and we were very good there. It is clear that we won because in the end, we had more energy than the rival. Started very well, but slowed down. It seems like it was kind of the opposite, at least a little bit, judging from what we saw last season from Real Madrid. Is this an improvement, Gemma, that they started a little bit stronger, but what do they really need to hold on to those 90 minutes with that energy at 100%?
Probably is physicality, and of course it's something that Real Madrid worked so well on the last season. If they manage to do it and to keep the players in the competitive side, because sometimes defending champions, they struggle on that because they just won the Champions League, La Liga, and they are human. Sometimes they can let them go a little bit, even though they are such a competitive side. So I think that the psychology, the physicality will be very, very important this year for Real Madrid, for all the teams, because it's a crazy year with the World Cup in the middle, but it can be a game changer, that physicality and that mentality. I was not able to watch the match yesterday because, as I mentioned, I was at the Camp Nou. I think not only myself, but the players, you guys know when you do the mix zone, sometimes they take ages to go out. They went out very fast from the game, Barcelona players. I think they wanted to watch that match because they want to watch this Real Madrid to be able to compete with them. And what I could watch later from the highlights, I perfectly remember last year's Real Madrid game at Cornellà al Prat because I was there. And I think that they, of course, there's a lot of things like that gets involved in a game. But I think the mentality they developed over the season last year can be helping them. They know how to suffer, to be pragmatical. They have this amazing striker, Karim Benzema. They have Thibaut Courtois. I think if they can stick to that, I agree with Rodri. I think they are the team to favorite, my favorites in La Liga, because they are more team, they have more automatisms. So if they can stick to that, I think they can win La Liga.
I love what you said, that they love to suffer, because it's so true with Real Madrid, but with their mentality, which is, what we saw in that Champions League victory at the end of the day in the final, and that's why they're defending Champions League now champions for this season, but still sticking on, and now with Real Madrid. I mean, Gemma was saying it, Rodri. This was against Espanyol, a tough side who really were determined. And at the end of the day, they did get a score, and they did make Real Madrid suffer. But what do you expect from this merengue side against maybe more complicated rivals in La Liga?
Well, they're facing Betis this next leg, so I think that would be a game in which we could see the real Real Madrid, because we've seen Real Madrid facing Almeria or facing, for example, Espanyol, which are, I think, as much middle-class teams by the end of the season. But now you're going to receive at home Betis Balompié. It's going to be the first home game for Real Madrid right after these three first games away Santiago Bernabéu due to the works of the renewal of the stadium. So that's why we're going to see the real Real Madrid. They're going to play home. They're going to be themselves. They're going to be really more comfortable, and they're going to be even better physically in order to win Betis Balompié, who for me is one of the best sides in this starting of La Liga. I think we're going to expect Real Madrid maybe even more aggressive in the upline front because for example, something that they have to improve in the next weekend against Betis, that they didn't do it better or they didn't do it good yesterday, it was Benzema. Benzema, I think he played the worst team that we've seen in years, despite the fact that he scored 2 goals. Because if you didn't see the game, you would say, okay, Benzema 2 goals again is the guy to be followed and to have an eye at this season. But yesterday he didn't play well, and the good thing for Real Madrid is that they acted as a collective, because they say, okay, Benzema is not at the top shape now at the moment. He didn't do a great job in the game. Okay, let's start with Rodrigo. Let's make Camavinga come in the second half, and that's why Real Madrid improved this season. And that's what I really expect from a side like Real Madrid. Really powerful, really strong, with an open mentality that makes them even better than last season.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can learn from maybe performances that weren't so great. But really, on your worst day and you're still scoring 2 goals, it's not that bad. And that is what Karim Benzema is. But we know with Real Madrid, they're still always going to be under pressure, right, Gemma?
Yes, they will be. They are the defending champions. They have a fan base that is, of course, very demanding. Yes, they are used to the drama, but at the end, they have lived this same movie with like a thriller, with drama, with a lot of difficulties, but they always go through those. So that also makes a lot of pressure. And when the results are not going well, and we can remember that from last season, when there were at the beginning of the season that defeat against Espanyol and a couple of games in a row that they were not able to get the 3 points. There is a lot of pressure, and there will be a lot of pressure. And now we are praising Tchouameni, that like he's the best in the world, and he can be, but he can be not. The normal thing would be that he struggles a little bit to get in such a competitive league and such a competitive team. And of course, there will be criticism if he managed to have the difficulties in that. But this is elite football. This is soccer that has so many millions of people watching it, and of course criticizing things that they don't like. And yes, Cristina, they will be having a lot of pressure.
And it's so typical, and both of you know it, that with soccer and with these big European teams, the easy part is getting signed. The tough part is actually performing. So that's going to be in the books for Tchouameni, and we'll see if he can respond to what this potential is. Now, the reason why we're all here, of course, not only to talk about how Real Madrid and Barcelona did and what we expect from them, but with some insider information. Gemma and Rodri. Gemma, I want to start with you because we know that pierre-emerick Aubameyang had some a really tough experience, not on the field, but off it.
Yes, this is really serious and bad news because the Barcelona player, after the Sunday game against Valladolid, that 4-0 win, he was assaulted at his house by an armed gang. He was at home with his wife and kids, and it was such a violent gang. He was actually hit, and police in Catalonia, Mossos d'Esquadra, are still trying to figuring out what happened there. There are testimonials. They are looking for the rope gang that they left Aubameyang house in Castelldefels, where Messi and all Luis Suarez and most of the football players live a few kilometers away from Barcelona. They left in an Audi A3 car, so they are looking for that. It's of course not the first time. There are these bands specialized in targeting football players or artists or people that they know they have a lot of money or watches or jewelry. It's not the first time this is happening, sadly, but it's not very common that the player is at home. We've seen that, sometimes the player doesn't even realize. This happened with Jordi Alba last year. robbers went into his house and he didn't realize it was in another floor. So this is really serious. The kids were there. The kids get to watch that because it was a robbery that lasted about an hour. They tied them, they threatened them. So it's such an awful story, and we really hope that the police can find out who did that, and they have to pay for that robbery.
It's bad enough that it happens to anybody, but to see your kids have to go through that, the wife, of course, and have it happen in your own home, it's really tough, and we hope that Aubameyang and his family, of course, get all the help and all the time they need to heal in this, what truthfully and probably was a traumatic situation. Switching over to now information from Real Madrid, because we talked about him so much with Tchouameni, what are they saying about him in the interiors now of Real Madrid's institution, Rodri?
Well, all the people after Casemiro's exit to Man United some days ago, everyone was asking in Real Madrid. I mean, I'm talking about the fan base, and even for some people inside the club, they were demanding someone to replace Casemiro. But the club was firm in the way that they say, we paid more than 80 million euros for Tchouameni, and that's why we're gonna be focused on him, because we want it to be the main guy in the midfield this year to play with. So that's why they talked to them. They talked to him, and they from Real Madrid, my sources tell me that they talked to the player and said, okay, we've been following you for more than 6 months, because we remember that Tchouameni's signing is not something right after Mbappe said no to Real Madrid. This is something that Real Madrid has been working on for the past 6 months. So that's why Real Madrid told the player, like, okay, we've been following you for more than 6 months. We paid a lot more than Liverpool or PSG, who were behind you. So that's why we're gonna be relying on you, and we are confident on you and your person and your future. So that's why they try to keep calm, and they try to say the player that everyone was concerned about the situation and the pressure that he will have to cope with. So that's why Tchouameni is happy now at the moment, and he knows that he will have even more minutes than Real Madrid said to him that he was going to have this year, right before Casemiro left. So that's why everyone is happy, and the player, is happy with his role this season at Real.
And the good news for him is that there are so many players now on the team that went through the exact same thing even a year ago, 2 years ago, and of course there's that lovely combination with very experienced players in Real Madrid that I'm sure will still want to help him reach his full potential, and more than that now at Real Madrid. Gemma, well, a lot of kids we know are going back to school, they're getting used to homework again, but Barcelona had to do homework throughout the whole summer and they're still not done. How urgent is the situation with the transfer market and what Joan Laporta and Barcelona still have to get done?
Well, Cristina, imagine how urgent it is that Joan Laporta himself has to put his own money, and financial director Ferran Oliver as well. They put their own money to be able to register Koundé. This is because, of course, they think they will be able to deal with that homework and to sell players. So Xavi Hernandez gave his players 2 days off, and there was a little scare because Memphis Depay and Frenkie de Jong, they left on a private plane to London. As far as we know, it's for a personal matter, not signing related, but of course are two of the players who are in the departure department, we can say, even though in the case of Frenkie de Jong, it looks extremely difficult. The other players, what our sources in the club told us is that the North American has started to understand that he won't be having options if he stays in Barcelona, and he will be willing to look for a solution. There are talks with Man United, but Barcelona are firmly asking for 20 million. So we will see if there is an agreement or an offer that arrives to that money. Braithwaite is a similar situation. He said no to some clubs like Mallorca. Now there is Elche. They are interested in a forward, and we can be expecting a crazy next few hours with Barcelona, 72 hours to go, 3 days till the end of the transfer market, and it will be a lot of homework for Barcelona. We can say that with Abde, Valladolid was on Sunday at the Camp Nou, Ronaldo, the president, and it's very close that Abde will renew with Barcelona and will go on a loan to Pucela, to Valladolid. So crazy few hours we have ahead of us.
Crazy few hours that I'm sure you're so used to, Gemma, and we're so used to hearing also what this summer in the transfer market has been. Even Javier Tebas was tweeting about it the other day, and we know that he doesn't necessarily have the biggest filter. He wants everybody to know what's going on and to not spread the famous fake news around Football Club Barcelona. That's why we have our insider with us, Gemma Soler. Rodri, now speaking of, potential.
Well, this is something that is going to drive a lot of Atletico Madrid fans crazy, because no one of them understand why Atletico Madrid is going to sign a former Real Madrid player like Reguilon. We're going to contextualize and we're going to try to explain this operation, because Renan Lodi, Atletico Madrid left back, said to Simeone that he needs to play a little bit more this year in order to go to Qatar 22 with Brazil. Simeone said to him that now he's not going to be the starter for this season, that he has to fight for that place. And Renan Lodi said, okay, I want to play in a team which he guarantees me that I'm going to be starting for the whole season. So that's why he said, okay, could I go on loan to Nottingham Forest? And Atletico Madrid said, okay, if we get a replacement, that would be all right for us. You're going to be on loan for 1 year plus 5 million euros that Nottingham Forest is going to pay to Atletico Madrid. Renan Lodi agreed that, and even more, he said that he's going to renew his contract to Atletico Madrid because he wants to go back to Atletico Madrid and fight for a place as a starting player. So that's why he renewed his contract till 2026. Besides this, Atletico Madrid was focused on a replacement, and in the market they only found Sergio Reguilon, which in Tottenham he's not gonna play. So that's why Reguilon was looking for a team as well, and they got to a deal, which is gonna be for 1 year loan, only 1 year loan, no buy option. So after this year, he's going to go back to London to join again Tottenham Hotspur. But tomorrow he will arrive, he will land in Madrid to pass the medical test and sign for Atletico Madrid. And this is something that has driven some Atletico Madrid fans crazy, because Reguilon not only was a Real Madrid former player, but he's always shown in social media that he's a deep Real Madrid fan. So that's why some supporters from Atletico Madrid are like, why are we reinforcing the team once again with a Real Madrid player? Well, no one knows. Only Berta, his sporting director, should make some explanations about this and some speak out to see why they are signing so many Real Madrid players. But the fact is that tomorrow he will be an Atletico Madrid.
I know it's business at the end of the day, and a lot of people don't understand why fans get so angry at these kind of situations. I love it. I love that they're so protective of their team, and Atletico fans never hide the fact that, yeah, maybe he'll wear the Atletico jersey, but they know what he's done and they won't forget about it. So that's really interesting.
They will celebrate the goals,
of course,
either way. So
of course, like we say in Spanish, right? Cuando les conviene, when it's good for them, yeah. Of course they're gonna celebrate it at the end of the day. Now, Gemma, there's still a little bit of movements that we can see leaving the Barcelona theme aside with Edinson Cavani. What's new with him?
Yeah, because we've been talking a lot about El Matador, the killer, and he has a verbal agreement with Valencia. Actually, he's already in Valencia, and he will be meeting Rodri later this Monday to watch his almost for sure new team Valencia play against Atletico Madrid. He has been linked on the last few weeks with so many teams, Villarreal, Nice in France, and this way he accomplished a dream. He always said that he wanted to play in the Spanish La Liga. He was linked some previous seasons with Barcelona, with Atletico Madrid, with Sevilla. So he will arrive in Valencia. He says that he trusts this Gattuso project, which is such a complicated team, Valencia. Now we were talking about the interest of the fans and what they les conviene. Well, it's a very complicated stadium, Mestalla, but he's such a great player, great striker, and I think it's really good and fun for us that we love La Liga having Cavani. So this is almost the end of story. He should be signing the new contract, this 2-year contract in the next few hours.
Do you know that I'm staying at the same hotel that
really?
Cavani? Yeah, I can knock on his door. No,
do it.
When we can find out what he said to you too, and we can talk a little bit about it here on LaLiga Insiders. Speaking of strikers too, with Eden Hazard, what's going on with him at Real Madrid, which we know that every game, Rodri, they're expecting something different from him, but it's been complicated with the past that he's had.
Yeah, I would say that Eden Hazard will face another dark season for Real Madrid. I'm not going to be that negative with the Belgian player, but the thing is that yesterday against Espanyol, Real Madrid made 4 substitutions with Camavinga, with Rodrigo, with Carvajal, and with Ceballos, and none of them is from Belgium, and it's called Eden Hazard. So that's why, despite what Ancelotti said by the end of the game, he said that Hazard will have his chance and he will have so many games to prove his quality and whatever. I think Ancelotti sent out a message without saying something. No? If you see what happened on the pitch and you see how Real Madrid struggled by the end of the game, and if you see that Hazard wasn't inside the pitch and he was on the bench, I think the message is clear. And I don't know if there's gonna be something in the winter window transfer, but I think that depending on how many minutes he will have in this first half of the season, maybe in this winter transfer window, Hazard will look for new ways or for new paths to try to prove that he's still able to this level of competition, because at Real Madrid looks very difficult that he will have the minutes that he's asking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going back a little bit to what you guys were saying about Lewandowski. He has all the potential in the world. Lewandowski is, of course, responding, but, of course, the bad luck and the injuries need to stay aside, which we know haven't respected at all Eden Hazard since he got to Real Madrid. All right, from there, let's go on to a little bit of extra time. Let's have a little bit of fun with this. This is an interesting image because Joan Laporta showed up with a black eye. And I don't know what happened. I don't know who did this. Maybe, I don't know, he ran into a door, or maybe he's made some enemies. Now, I mean, who was it? Dest, De Jong, Ronaldo? Who?
You know, I was there because I wanted to see Alexia Putellas. He showed his trophy to the Camp Nou, so I was really close to that area when Joan Laporta showed up with these sunglasses. So I completely saw the moment where he took out the sunglasses, and everyone was so surprised. We, of course, asked sources at Barcelona. They told us that the official explanation is that he had a domestic incident, and I think we don't have any other argument to say the contrary. But this is not information, this is my imagination. I think that what happened, just the day before, he had put his own money, his pocket money, to register Koundé. I think he took a nap, he woke up from that nap, and he realized what he just did, that he put a lot of his personal money to that, so he fainted. He fell, and he fell on the 6th lever that is waiting there in case they don't manage to get a cell, and that's what happened. That's my theory. I don't know if Rodri has
I love it, Rodri.
My theory is easier, and I think that he's running an NFL career. He said, like, okay, I'm fed up with being Barcelona president. You know, I don't want to be summer again, so, you know, I'm going to run an NFL career. So, you know, it could be, instead of an accident, it could be something, you know, like a thing or whatever.
All right. I like it too. I'm going to venture to say maybe, I don't know, the UFC has gotten really popular, you know, maybe he's training a little bit of MMA. He did some sparring and he told the coach, hey, just don't touch my face. And that's what happened. You know, I had a similar incident when I was a kid, not with MMA, but with a black eye under actually the same eye. I slipped in my grandma's bathroom and I hit my eye at the edge of of the sink. So it can happen. I was like 5 or 6, so of course I was a kid, and Joana Porta is no longer a kid. But
he's not a kid.
Yeah, and that was the official party line, right, Gemma? What you were telling us, it was a domestic accident, a mishap without serious consequences. But he was probably like, man, people are gonna ask me so much about this and make jokes about it, and here we are making jokes, and of course with our own theories. I love it. So much fun with you guys, as always. Gemma Soler, Rodrigo Faez. I really do want to remind everybody to follow these two guys on Twitter, because you guys always have the tip-top information on La Liga, not only here on LaLiga Insiders, but of course in your own Twitter accounts and Instagram, of course. Why not? And another reminder, you can watch every single match of La Liga this season on ESPN Plus with Gemma and with Rodri, 2 at every stadium. We know that Gemma couldn't be at 2 places at once, but there's only so much that we can ask of her. Guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.